clued in, her future was not going to be very bright, bruh. Now, a lot of people was kind of surprised by this. I'm not, because I know, you know what I'm saying? What she did to Caitlin Clark was completely unnecessary. And I'm here to tell you guys, she's living with that decision today because she is without a job.
Chennedy Carter's cheap shot on Caitlin Clark wasn't just a foul. It was a full-blown career implosion. Now she's dealing with the fallout. No job, a wrecked reputation, and a future in the WNBA that's hanging by a thread. Some might say it was just a little shove, but here's the truth. The Chicago Sky didn't even hesitate to cut her loose. No core designation, no contract, just an express ticket to unemployment. Imagine going from a promising talent to completely unwanted in record time.
Breaking news, hot off the press. It looked like the push that was heard around the world has cost WNBA player Chennedy Carter her career.
But should we really be surprised? Carter has built a career on bad decisions. She's already burned bridges with multiple teams, and this time, she went too far. 3 teams in, 0 lessons learned, and now she's out of chances.
When Tyler Marsh did the press conference, he talked about Angel Reese, he talked about Cardoso, who I think is going to be a star in the WNBA, but he did not really mention Chennedy Carter at all, and that raised a lot of eyebrows.
Seriously, what did she think was going to happen? You don't just shove the face of the WNBA, the league's biggest star, and expect to walk away unscathed. Caitlin Clark isn't just any player. She's the league's golden ticket, the biggest draw in women's basketball. And Carter? Well, she just turned herself into the league's most radioactive free agent. Teams are running the other way.
I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
The moment was a complete disaster for Carter, and we're about to break down exactly how it went down. The Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever matchup was already tense, with emotions running high. The stakes were clear. Clark was dominating as usual, and Carter? She was getting cooked. And then, out of nowhere, she completely lost it.
That push right there was the... That right there, I believe, was the push that altered her career. And I'm telling you right now, it is not looking good for Chennedy Carter.
She didn't just commit a hard foul. She straight up shoved Clark while barking an expletive, cementing her spot on every WNBA team's do not sign list. It was a full-on meltdown, an impulsive decision made worse by the fact that everyone was watching. The crowd gasped. The players on the court were stunned. And one by one, every WNBA coach watching mentally crossed Carter's name off their roster.
When she took it upon herself to put her filthy thug hands on WNBA player Caitlin Clark.
The footage from that moment is brutal. You can hear the audible shock from the crowd. One scout who was courtside told us, "I've never seen anything like it. It wasn't just the push, it was the energy behind it. You could see the frustration boiling over. That's not what we want in this league." And let's talk about Clark's reaction, because that's what made this moment even more unforgettable. You can literally see the confusion on her face, like she couldn't even comprehend what had just happened. Later, Clark admitted, "For a second, time stood still. I felt the shove, and I just thought, wow, really?" And that's the problem for Carter. This wasn't just a heated moment, it became a defining moment.
For calling someone the B word while literally freaking winding up for a cheap shot. Yeah, that has to be taken into account. And then after the cheap shot, staring over and saying something before walking away. Like, you can't give, like, that is 3 separate technical foul occasions.
Because here's the real issue. Carter wasn't just reckless, she was unapologetic. That's what sealed her fate. The crowd immediately turned on her, booing louder than they had all night. Every single person in that arena knew what they had just witnessed. And it's not just fans who took notice. WNBA scouts, executives, and decision-makers were in the building that night. Some of the biggest names in the sport were watching this disaster unfold in real time. And the reaction? Not good.
Right.
You're jealous. That was a Bush League play, and it needs to be addressed. That was a flagrant foul. That was unnecessary. Flagrant, anything deemed to be unnecessary. I need somebody to explain to me why was that necessary.
One scout who has played a role in signing some of the league's top players put it bluntly. It's not just the shove, it's the attitude afterward. In this league, we want players who can handle pressure and be role models. Carter showed the exact opposite. That's not someone you want leading your franchise. Let's be honest. Carter didn't just push Caitlin Clark, she shoved her own career off a cliff. And at this point, it's unclear if anyone's willing to catch her on the way down. After that shameless, cheap shot, Chennedy Carter had a golden opportunity to do some damage control. She could have taken responsibility, apologized, or at the very least, acknowledged what happened. But nope. Instead, she stood in front of reporters, shrugged it off, and flat out lied, saying, "I didn't say anything on the play before bumping into Caitlin."
She turned to you a little bit
Yeah.
after the fever
I
score.
answered no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's not Kennedy on the play before bumping in with Caitlin. It's
As y'all heard there, man, Chennedy Carter let it be known she was not answering any Caitlin Clark questions. And I'm telling you right now, she probably wish she should have, because she's without a job.
Seriously? That's her response? No remorse, no accountability, just pure denial. Did she really think that if she ignored the problem, it would magically disappear? Spoiler alert, it didn't disappear. It got a whole lot worse. You might be thinking, okay, but she's a talented player, right? Surely that should count for something. Well, guess what? It doesn't. Not when you're burning bridges left and right. And the Chicago Sky made that crystal clear when their general manager dropped a bombshell statement about Carter's future with the team. And let's just say, it wasn't a ringing endorsement.
Chennedy Carter had an incredible season for us last year, but in a statement provided by the Chicago Times, she's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level. In our league, we absolutely appreciate what she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our rosters. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
The Sky's front office didn't just question Carter's on-court value. They flat out rejected her from their future plans. They made it clear that her fit with the team mattered more than her stat sheet. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is code for she's a locker room nightmare. But wait, it gets juicier. Remember Carter's partner in drama, Angel Reese? The one who was supposed to have her back? Yeah, about that. Word on the street is that even Reese is done with Carter. How do we know? Well, Reese just unfollowed Carter on social media. And before you roll your eyes and say, so what? It's just Instagram. Let's be real. In today's world, that's the digital equivalent of slamming the door in someone's face. It's like a giant flashing neon sign that screams, locker room drama, incoming.
I mean, look, maybe she's part of the culture problem. But that's very interesting. You know, I assumed, I'm not going to lie to you, I assumed the Chicago Sky was going to bring her back.
And it's not just Reese. Sources inside the Sky's organization are saying that multiple teammates are done with Carter, with some even pushing for her to be gone before next season. Can you imagine? 1 minute you're supposed to be a franchise star, and the next, your own teammates don't even want you in the building. And then there's the real gut punch. The Chicago Sky didn't just bench Carter. They refused to even offer her a qualifying contract. Let that sink in.
They said Chennedy Carter not getting an offer from the Sky means one thing. Someone influential in the locker room did not want her on the team. You never let your best offensive player and arguably your best player walk away from nothing unless there are locker room issues.
In the WNBA, teams rarely let their leading scorers walk away for nothing. It's practically unheard of. But with Carter, the Sky straight up said, "We'd rather have no one than have you." Oof, that's brutal.
I mean, she can score with the lights out. I mean, she's pure offense, a pure shooting guard, scoring guard, instant offense. But if you're a team, do you really want her on the team? I wouldn't.
And here's where things get really crazy. Some people are saying that this whole thing isn't just about Carter's locker room antics or even that shove on Clark. It's about the future of the WNBA itself. Think about it. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's the WNBA's biggest asset right now. She's drawing record-breaking crowds, boosting TV ratings, and potentially bringing in a better bargaining agreement for every single player in the league.
And everybody talk about other NBA, WNBA players not being appreciated. Nobody insulted them. Nobody dismissed their contribution. We were simply saying, despite the contributions for years and years and years, a lot of people didn't care. Fair or not, until Caitlin Clark came along.
And Carter? She picked a fight with the league's golden goose. By shoving Clark, did Carter actually shove herself right out of the WNBA? Because at this point, it sure looks like it. She's an unrestricted free agent now, a player in her prime, supposedly still valuable, right? So teams should be lining up to sign her, right? Wrong. We spoke to insiders across the WNBA, and what they told us? Absolutely shocking.
Whereas no team wants the cancer in the locker room. Okay, so that raises a great question. Is anybody going to want her? Maybe that's the best question. I mean, certainly there's real attitude issues.
One WNBA executive didn't hold back when asked about Chennedy Carter. They flat out said, "We wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole." This isn't some random Twitter hot take. This is coming from an actual decision maker in the league. Imagine being so toxic that franchises don't even want to be in the same zip code as you. But it gets even worse. We did some digging and uncovered a hidden contract clause that made it ridiculously easy for the Chicago Sky to dump her. Now, you might be thinking, so what? Teams have contract clauses all the time. Well, not like this.
Is what Annie Cristobal stated as well. No qualifying offer sent out to Chennedy Carter means she will be a free agent to test the market as an unrestricted free agent beginning tomorrow.
This wasn't your standard, "we'll fine you if you miss a practice" type of clause. This was a built-in escape hatch, like the Sky saw the disaster coming from a mile away and made sure they had a quick exit plan. But here's the real question. Why was that clause there in the first place? It's almost as if the Sky knew from day one that Carter was a ticking time bomb. They weren't just hoping she'd work out. They were preparing for the moment she'd self-destruct. And as we now know, that moment came faster than anyone expected. And now, her agent is in full-blown panic mode.
And I'm telling you right now, a lot of people and a lot of owners is not finna pick her up because of her attitude.
Picture the scene. Desperate phone calls, frantic emails, pleas to every WNBA front office willing to pick up the phone. They're begging teams to give her another shot, saying, "She's changed, she's learned her lesson." Spoiler alert, nobody's buying it. At this point, Carter's career is playing out like a game of hot potato, except she's the potato, and every team is terrified to catch her. But hold on, because it gets even worse. We're now hearing that some teams aren't just passing on Carter. They're outright calling her a locker room cancer. Oof, that's not just a red flag. That's a whole red billboard with flashing neon lights in the middle of Times Square. In pro sports, being labeled a locker room cancer is the kiss of death. It's one thing to be a little difficult, but when an entire league wants nothing to do with you, it's game over. That's not just a "we'll think about it" situation. That's a hard pass from everyone.
Someone said, "Whoa, she must really had a bad attitude."
And that leads us to the million-dollar question. Is this really the end of Chennedy Carter's WNBA career? Because let's be honest, she's talented. No one is denying that. But talent only takes you so far when your reputation is this bad. It's like she's standing on the edge of a cliff, and instead of teams reaching out to save her, they're all taking a big step back.
Caitlin Clark is the reason these ladies is potentially, allegedly, possibly about to get the biggest payday of their lifetime, with the NBA stepping in to help them get this new collective bargaining agreement potentially done. Then we got the media rights agreement done, which is like $3 or $2 billion. That money could possibly help them get larger contracts. And what Chennedy Carter put in her filthy palms on Caitlin Clark did not help her case.
But here's where it gets even more interesting, because this isn't just about Carter. The reason everyone is making such a big deal about Caitlin Clark isn't just because of her skill. It's because she's literally changing the entire WNBA. Clark isn't just playing the game, she's reshaping the league. And we've got the inside scoop on why this matters so much. Right now, Clark's popularity is skyrocketing. It's not just casual fans tuning in. The league's biggest decision makers are taking notice. And why? Because Clark is bringing in eyeballs, revenue, and opportunities like no one else before her. More viewers means bigger TV deals, more money, and better contracts for every single player in the league.
The Fever will have over 600,000 fans in attendance total this year, and the second best to that was in 1999 with the Washington Mystics at just over 400,000. So the Fever are going to account for over 200,000 more fans this year to their games than any other team.
You might be thinking, okay, but can one player really change everything? The answer? Absolutely. Clark's impact isn't just about basketball, it's about business. She's quickly becoming the face of women's basketball, and that translates into serious power.
Regular season, sales of WNBA merchandise are up over 500% versus the same period last year, with fan gear sales over the first half of the season at the highest in league history. Player-specific merchandise, including jerseys and t-shirts, have seen a staggering 1,000% increase in sales. Additionally, sales of league-specific merchandise like the popular orange WNBA hoodie are also up 200%. The top-selling WNBA player merch, Caitlin Clark, #1 in jersey sales, Angel Reese 2, Sabrina 3.
And here's where it really gets crazy. Players like Carter and Reese, they completely misread the situation. While Carter was shoving Clark out of frustration, Clark was shoving the entire WNBA into a new era. And right now, Clark is thriving. Carter? She's on the outside looking in.
But if you went the opposite direction, it could have helped that much and facilitated you being in an even stronger position to get yours. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Wow.
We just uncovered some explosive information about the ongoing negotiations for a new WNBA collective bargaining agreement. And guess what? Caitlin Clark's name keeps coming up. Now, why is that? Simple. Her success and visibility are completely changing the game. Clark's presence isn't just drawing fans. It's forcing the league to rethink everything, from player salaries to sponsorship deals, and even how they handle player conduct. And here's where things get really interesting. Sources tell us that the WNBA is actively discussing stricter disciplinary rules. And yes, it's directly tied to that push incident.
Very rough. She's on, I believe, her third team, maybe fourth team. I think her third team. And if it's not her fourth team, she's already planning on her fourth team.
That's right. Carter didn't just make a bad decision. She may have single-handedly forced the league to crack down on player conduct. From what we're hearing, the WNBA wants to ensure that their biggest stars, especially players like Clark, are protected from unnecessary cheap shots and petty antics. And let's be honest, it's about time. The league knows that Clark is their most valuable asset right now. And what happened with Carter? That was a PR disaster waiting to happen. The WNBA doesn't just want to increase salaries, they want to maintain a positive image around their top players. So what does this mean for someone like Carter? Well, let's just say it's not looking good. The message is crystal clear. If you push the wrong buttons, or in Carter's case, the wrong player, you might just find yourself pushed right out of a job.
Right now, it is not going to be an old happy day for Chennedy Carter tomorrow because she thinks that somebody's going to suck at her. And I'm here to tell you, dog, I don't believe no team is going to touch her with a 12-foot pole. She is a diabolical locker room.
And that's exactly what's happening. But let's shift back to Clark for a second because her impact goes far beyond rule changes. Experts are saying that players like Clark are literally reshaping the economic future of the WNBA. Think about it. Bigger contracts, larger media deals, more sponsorship opportunities.
We're bringing more and more fans to this league, people that have maybe never watched the WNBA before, and it kind of takes your breath away at points. Like
Clark's popularity is like a rising tide lifting all boats in the league, and the WNBA knows it. They are actively using her star power as leverage in these negotiations to secure better deals for every single player. And just imagine the kind of pressure that puts on Clark. Her success isn't just about personal accolades. It could mean better pay, bigger endorsement deals, and improved conditions for every player in the league. One player, one star. Redefining the entire future of the WNBA.
Such an incredible moment on a global scale for our game, for our players.
It's like the fans are absolutely incredible. It's the same when we go on the road. Like there's so many people that are showing up in fever gear. It's really affecting, you know, teams all across our league, which is a really great thing. And, you know, really, I think we're just scratching the surface.
Meanwhile, Carter's career is hanging by a thread. Clark's success isn't just about her. It's changing the league as a whole. And Carter? She's stuck watching from the sidelines, wondering if she'll even get another shot. So here's where we stand. The WNBA is shifting. Star power is now more important than ever. And Clark? She's the face of it all. Could her impact extend beyond her playing days? Could her influence reshape the league's financial future? And what about Carter? Is this the final buzzer for her career? Or is there still a chance for a comeback? The WNBA's landscape is evolving, and whether Carter likes it or not, Clark is the one leading the way. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.